going on to all my Doctor Strange fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Are you all ready to talk about all the major cameos, all the major kills, post-credit scenes, and everything in between? Well, that's exactly what we're doing in this video. We're spoiling Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So if you haven't seen the film, go check it out. Check out my non-spoiler review, and then come back and join the conversation. But if you all are here to get mad in the Multiverse of Madness, you clicked on the right video. But before we get into all this crazy madness, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community today by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And as you all can see on the screen now, if you enjoy what I had to say about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in this full spoiler discussion, we'll make sure you all are liking this video as well as sharing it. But more importantly, go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments. Who is your favorite character, your favorite kill, your best cameo? What does the post-credit scenes mean? What do you want to see next for Doctor Strange, Wong, America Chavez, and Wanda? Did she survive at the end? Let's talk about that in the comments below. So again, full spoilers ahead. We're breaking it all down. I got my notes here. I tried to remember as much as I possibly can. So let's get into all this madness as we open up the film here. And I gotta say, I love that we open with this action sequence. And also, I mentioned in my non-spoiler review the fear of the 2-hour and 6-minute runtime. Some things felt a bit rushed, but for the most part, I thought the pacing was really well handled. But this opening sequence, we meet America Chavez, we see Defender Strange. So I guess the first question I have for you all, and I was just very curious while watching this, we obviously know America Chavez. She's going to be more involved in the MCU moving forward, especially with the capabilities of traveling through the multiverse. But I was so curious to know, and I don't know if she mentioned it, how long did her and Defender Strange know each other? And also between, I want to say the age of 5 when we got that backstory, how she lost her moms, which I think her moms are still somewhere out there in the multiverse, and she's going to have a reunited with them later in the future of the MCU. But I want to say she was probably 5 years old, and maybe in this film, 13 to 15. What was she doing in between that time? I know she said she traveled between 73 different multiverses, but how long did she stay in those multiverses? How long was she friends with Doctor Strange, or to say Defender Strange? All those questions were just going in my head. Of course, like I said, we're going to get more of it, but I thought it would have been cool to get a little bit more of that backstory in this film. But neither here nor there. Let's get into the action. They're being chased by a demon who we know is summoned by the Scarlet Witch. They're looking for the Book of Vishanti, if I'm pronouncing that right, which is essentially, as they mentioned later on in the film, is just the counterpart of the Dark Hold, where that's more for witchcraft. This is for sorcerers to find all the answers to defeat their enemies, which we'll get into that discussion a little bit later. But they're close to getting it, but the monster captures them, and we see at this point this Defender Strange is very similar to our Doctor Strange in regards to, listen kid, if it becomes between you and saving the world and the multiverse, I'm going to go with the greater good and the greater cause. So we see that he's taken her powers, but unfortunately he dies because the monster stabs him through the chest. And at this point, America Chavez, as we learn later in the film, she's only able to trigger her powers when she's under distress, when she's nervous, when she's upset, when she's angry. So she's caught by the demon. She's about to die. She's screaming. She opens a portal behind her. We see Defender Strange isn't completely dead, so he kind of redeems himself by helping her, and they kind of push themselves into the portal, which brings them into our MCU timeline, or as they say in this film, the 616, which I think this might not be the first time they refer to the MCU as the 616, which in the comics is like the Prime Earth. I think, let me know if I'm wrong, did Quentin Beck say 616 in the Far From Home, the Spider-Man film? I think he mentioned it there, but neither here nor there. Always love those little comic book Easter eggs. But our version of Doctor Strange wakes up from this nightmare, who, speaking of nightmare, and this is for my comic book fans out there, were you all thinking that we were going to get Nightmare at some point in this film? Because they kept referring to nightmares and dreams and also, you know, walking in your sleep. I'm like, dude, Nightmare is going to pop up in this film any moment now, which he did, and which a lot of us were speculating he was going to be maybe one of the main villains in the WandaVision, led by Mephisto, which, who knows? We're going to maybe get those characters in a sequel of Doctor Strange, but neither here nor there. Our Doctor Strange wakes up from this nightmare. He's getting prepared to go to Christine's wedding, which I mentioned in my non-spoiler review. Christine and Doctor Strange, I hope this is the last of them in regards to their relationship. Like, if we get Christine in the future and she's just here to help Doctor Strange and it's not like a romantic angle, I'm cool with that because I like Rachel McAdams, but their chemistry to me is just not working. I'm not going to lie. I mentioned it more in depth in my spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to repeat it here, but neither here nor there. The biggest thing I took away from this particular scene in the wedding, besides Doctor Strange being a badass, jumping off the balcony in his cloak, that was badass. But it was the conversation that he had with Michael Stuhlbarg, the surgeon rival doctor, who he's a great actor, but at this point he cannot be in these films anymore because there's really nothing for him to do. I love seeing him on screen, but the conversation they have, we see that Doctor Strange, and I mentioned it in my review. It dawned on me, but I never really thought about that decision was so big with Doctor Strange deciding to give the time stone to Thanos and just thinking of how the ramifications of the snap and the blip and 5 years later, and him having that conversation with Michael in regards to, I lost my 2 cats, also lost my brother, but in particular, I lost time. And did you make the right decision? And he says, yeah. And he's like, yeah, of course. You're a great surgeon and also the world's best superhero. So it's just like the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And I really liked how this film highlighted that aspect. I'm not the biggest Doctor Strange fan in the MCU, but I do appreciate the growth in the character stuff that they gave him regarding his past actions, him making redemptions to America Chavez and trying to save one life, not just worrying about everyone, but, being a hero is saving as many people as you can, obviously, but also just more internally speaking, helping someone that's right there, that's tangible, that you can do that. So I like that narrative, but I really enjoyed that scene. But as we fast forward to him and Christine, I missed you, I made a mistake, we could have been a blah, 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 blah. We see him go out in the streets. America Chavez is being chased by yet another monster, and I know there's some confusion online, but I'm pretty sure Marvel confirmed that this particular one-eyed monster was no other than Gargantus. And the visual effects in this scene, as I mentioned in my non-spoiler review, this was one of those moments where I feel like whenever the creature was picking up people and it was like up close to other things, the visual effects weren't all that clean, but I did enjoy the actual sequence. We see Doctor Strange doing all his power moves and all this stuff, opening up the bus and splitting the bus in half. And we get our boy Wong coming in, who is the Sorcerer Supreme. And Doctor Strange, by this film, he knows you got to bow down to the leader. But we see them fighting the creature, which was a very cool scene. And again, going back to one of the things I loved about this movie, the gore. The gore, we see the eye stabbing. He picks up the light pole and stabs it in the eye, which was just so gross. I hate when things get poked in people's eyes. It was pretty gross, but pretty awesome at the same time. They take down the creature, and this is where we get a little bit of that exposition, right? Who are you, America Chavez? As she takes his sling, and they ultimately get her. The girl loves pizza. When I was that age, I loved pizza too, so I love that. I don't know if that's like a characteristic from the comics that she loves pizza, if she's like a Ninja Turtle or whatnot, but they're eating pizza. She's going over her backstory in regards to her relationship with Defender Strange, how she thought she can trust him, but then, she couldn't, which obviously planted the seeds early, like, well, you can trust me. I'm going to be here to fend for you throughout the film, which he ultimately does. But she tells him about there's someone that's trying to kidnap me, and they get more into conversations about the ramifications of No Way Home, which, let me know in the comments. I was under the impression that there were going to be some more ramifications from what Doctor Strange did in No Way Home, from opening the multiverse, going against what Wong said, but they don't address it. They just simply have it in this scene, which was kind of funny, talking about all the bug people. Spider-Man, he have webs coming out of his ass. That was kind of funny, but I'm just like, wait. There are no ramifications. There really isn't no pushback to what he did, and it doesn't have any rollover to this film. I was kind of disappointed by them not connecting, from Loki to Spider-Man to this. It's kind of loosely hinting at those kind of things, which is kind of unfortunate. But it's in this scene that they're talking about the multiverse, and they're talking about, wait, this seems like witchcraft. And we see Doctor Strange says, well, I know someone that deals with witchcraft. Whenever they cut to a little hint at a character and they have a previous theme, which we'll talk about, the X-Men theme that we got later in this film, but we hear the WandaVision. I thought that was so cool. It put a smile on my face, because if you all don't know, WandaVision is my second favorite MCU TV show to date, only behind Loki. I really enjoyed that intro, and it really broke my heart when we see Wanda living in her dream, or our Wanda seeing other Wandas being a mother to Billy and Tommy. She wakes up, and I'm just, oh man, it's like, damn, this is the journey we're going on with this character. She's in her own nightmare. She is now being visited by Doctor Strange. We've seen this scene 1,000 times in the trailers, as we think that she's, living off of maybe that farm that she was at in WandaVision, but they're having a conversation. I need an Avenger. I don't think I can use help from Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and all the different people. He says, I need a powerful Avenger, which, I don't know, those are shots fired at the Hulk, who y'all know how I feel about the Hulk, or shots fired at Thor, who's somewhere in the cosmos, or even Captain Marvel. He's like, I need you. You're very powerful. I can get you back on a lunchbox, which I thought was funny. But then we see Wanda kind of slips up when she says, well, maybe bring America Chavez here. He's like, wait, I never told you her name. She's like, oh, damn, I'm pretty good at illusions and creating this hex, but I'm not good at lies. So she goes ahead and shows and reveals. I don't know exactly where they were. I don't know the location where Wanda was in this kind of hellish-like environment, but it was pretty badass. I'll just say that. And they have the conversation about, you make decisions, you made me put a hole in my husband's head. You gave Thanos a time stone, but yet you're the hero. And when I want something that's just more personal to me, I'm the villain. Elizabeth Olsen, she played those scenes so well. I've never been more terrified of a villain. Like, she, to me, in this film, Thanos, incredible. Killmonger, great. Had a lot of motives to what he was doing. Winter Soldier, fantastic. Those, to me, are like the top tier villains of the MCU. But goddamn, Wanda Maximoff, or should I say Scarlet Witch, she was no one to play with. She gives Doctor Strange a warning. I'll give you the sundown to give me over America Chavez. Well, Wanda, what if we don't do that? What will you do? Let's just say I won't show you mercy, and you'll get to, Wanda won't be accent. It'll be the Scarlet Witch. I'm like, yeah, damn, Wanda, let's get it. And she did not disappoint. So now we're building the defenses at Hermitage, and we have all the sorcerers there, which it kind of looked like it should have been more sorcerers there, especially based on all the portals we got in Endgame. But we got all the, the big people, all the people that can thin Wanda in this moment, and we see her pulling up like a straight up G with the smoke coming over their area, and we see Wong, which I love their back and forth chemistry. Their little back and forth things that they say to each other is so funny. Hey, no pressure, but make sure you give, you talk to her in a way where it's not threatening. He's like, all right, no pressure, in the word. All right, let's do this. So they have their discussions. Again, there's the back and forth. Give her to me. She's a child, Wanda. She's not a child. She's a being with powers that I need. She can't control them. I just want my kids. And he's just like, you're trespassing. Doctor Strange saying his things, and she's just like, all right, time to not show you mercy anymore. And we see they have the whole defenses. They have their whole shields up there. Wanda can't break the shields. They're looking good. They got a lot of team chemistry going right now. But then Wanda, or should I say Scarlet Witch, this is a callback to her introduction to Age of Ultron, when she can get into people's heads and manipulate heads. We see Wong says, fortify your minds. But it was just that one guy. Run. And then they break the shields, and this is where she just wrecks shop. She's killing fools at this point, destroying people. They run back into the defenses. We see that she is now trapped in the mirror world, of the mirror spell that Doctor Strange has used before, especially on someone like Thanos. Wanda, she tries to escape with her powers. She's like, okay, I got to use my mind. So she slows down. You see a little black finger. She touches and realizes, oh, this is all kind of an illusion, right? This is just child's play. And this is where oh my gosh, the horror tinges right here. Cover the reflections. And I love Sam Raimi so much with the horror elements when they just take the audio down, they take the soundtrack out, and you hear the ding, the little piano things that we see Danny Elfman use throughout this film. They try to cover the I feel like I was watching Lights Out, or watching The Tooth Fairy, where she was just popping up in the reflections, and then she comes through that object and she's like contorting her body. I'm like, yes, I'm loving this horror stuff. Give me more, and there is plenty more to come. So at this point, they're fighting her off. They're not winning. America Chavez, we all know she gets nervous, so again, she opens up another portal, pushing her and Doctor Strange through the multiverse, and we've seen a little clip when they're going through like the paint multiverse, the black and white multiverse. I can probably frames it when I watch it again and see all the different worlds and multiverses we travel in. Meanwhile, we know Wong is back there, and Doctor Strange is telling her, I need to get back. I need you to use your powers. Like, just give them to me. He slows down and it's like, damn, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that there, which, again, that was the big tie-in to their whole relationship. So they're now in this, and I don't know if they ever specify. I know Christine says a little bit later, like 818 or whatever that world Doctor Strange is, but they're looking for the Doctor Strange in this world. before they find him, we get our cameo from Bruce Campbell, which was so great. It was so funny, especially that second post-credit scene with him punching himself, and finally it's over. But I really enjoyed that moment as they find out that this world's universe, or this Doctor Strange, I don't know if they gave him another name other than Doctor Strange, Supreme Strange maybe, but he died fighting Thanos, saving the world, which we find out was all a lie a little bit later. But they come up to the Sanctum, and this is where Mordor is the Sorcerer Supreme. He's like, I've been waiting for this moment. And you think they're about to pop off and fight. He's like, brother, I'm so happy to see you. Which, let me just address it now, because there's not a lot of that character Mordor in this film. I wasn't a fan of how they ended him. Him and Doctor Strange, when they fought, that was pretty cool. But, okay, so he's still alive. He's still alive. He didn't die. He just, they fought, and that was, like I said, a good action sequence. But where is Doctor Strange 616 Baron Mordo? Like, where is he at? Like, why wasn't he in this film? Which also makes me wonder, why wasn't Vision in this film? Why wasn't Loki in this film? Why wasn't Kang in this film? I didn't need them, but I do think there was a missed opportunity to have Vision in this movie. Like, to me, to not have a mention of Vision, she'd mentioned she had to put a hole through her husband's head, but, like, to not get Vision in this film seemed a little odd to me. But more importantly, going back to Baron Mordo, where was he? Where has he been at? His whole thing at the end of Doctor Strange 1 was there's too many sorcerers, there's too much witchcraft. I hope we get him in the future, and I hope they give him a proper storyline. But we go to them. They're talking in the Sanctum. He tells them, about all the stuff that's going on. Doctor Strange tells this Sorcerer Supreme, all the information. And this is where he gives them back about, like, okay, hopefully we're safe in this multiverse. He's like, well, in the Darkhold, there is a particular spell that will allow you to, I think they call it sleepwalking, which was so cool, which will allow her to look for other Wandas within multiverses and possessing them, which I'm like, yeah, this is a Sam Raimi film, and I'm here for the Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell vibes, which was so cool. So while that's going on, we see her conjuring this other Wanda in their multiverse who has Billy and Tommy. That scene there, you talk about creepy and scary when it's just like hiding behind the staircase, and we see the ocean in the cup. We see her looking in the picture. Sam Raimi, come on now, you're hitting me with these great stuff. And ultimately, we see that she possesses her, and she's about to leave, and the kid's like, Mom, I want to show you something. They're singing a little ice cream song, and she loves the kids, man. She loves her kids, and I fought for her. But Wanda, they don't exist, which I love that line. Wanda, you create these kids with magic. All mothers make their kids with magic. The puns, the kickbacks, the bars were there in this film. But she ultimately takes over that body. She's now on her way to, meet where Doctor Strange is, which at this point, we see that they're poisoned. He's putting them to sleep, and he's bringing them to the Illuminati will see you now. So they're in these enclosed, captured things, and they're talking about, Doctor Strange's like, who's in charge here? Blah, blah, blah. Who's your silly scientist? Turns around, it's this version of Christine. And I swear to you all, I normally am very respectful when it comes to watching movies and not making, loud, audible noises or distracting other people. But when she was saying, we were created, what I do here, I'm very smart, and we're funded by the Baxters, I'm like, Fantastic Four, they're here, they're coming, they're here now. That's our first official Fantastic Four reference, and we get a bigger one here in a couple of seconds. So I love that moment. We see them, the Ultron bots takes Doctor Strange, the Illuminati will see. So before we get into that scene, we go back to Wanda, who at this point, we see one of the sorcerers has survived the attack. She's trying to help Wong. She's like, you can't be the one to do it. I have to sacrifice myself, which was a brutal moment. She destroys the Darkhold. In doing so, Wanda burns her alive. Burns her alive, yes. Violence. I loved it, Wanda. Kills her. Now she's pissed. She's like, that was my only way. I know you're the Sorcerer Supreme. Give me some hints. And she brings up all his other friends that were like kind of wounded, but she was like killing them slowly. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you. And I can't remember the name of the mountain. Let me know in the comments. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it was like the Mountains of Wundagore. I might be completely wrong. So he's like, we need to go there because there are inscriptions from the Darkhold, like the original backup. It's like a plan B for, spells and witchcraftery in this mountain. So he's like, she's like, take me there, and they go there, and we'll get to that scene here in a bit. But let's talk about the Illuminati. We've been speculating, okay, is a Black Panther going to be there? Is a Namor going to be there? Who's going to be in these chairs? Well, let's go through this lineup. First and foremost, we see Mordo's there. He's one of the members. Then we see Doctor Strange kind of being coy, kind of being snappy, talking to them all kind of in type of way. And then we kind of, unfortunately, Marvel spilled the beans last week in a little TV spot. It's Captain Britain. We see Haley Atwell is back in the role. She has her shield. We've seen that iteration in What If, which was so cool to kind of get that in live action. She's such a badass, and I hope that we can see another version of her somewhere, because we don't get much of her in this film, unfortunately. So we see her. Then we cut over to, we got Black Bolt, which is the same actor from Inhumans, which we don't talk about that much. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Inhumans on ABC. It was horrendous. But I'm glad that he had a moment to redeem himself, even though he loses his head a little bit later. We get that. We get Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. Badass, super cool. Really enjoyed her moment. Oh, man. Smartest man on earth. Reed goddamn Richards, played by the one, the only, John Krasinski. I said it in a video a couple days ago. I have a theory about John Watts being replaced, and then Captain Marvel being replaced by Ant-Man 3, and now potentially having Fantastic Four in this film, which is confirmed. John Krasinski directing Fantastic Four. I don't know. We'll see. If we got John Krasinski, doesn't mean that we have Emily Blunt, because he does say he has a wife who's watching the kids. Marvel, I love you. What a great casting. I mean, he looked perfect. He looked so great in the costume and the way he was carrying himself, and the intelligence and the intellect. Oh man, I don't think I haven't gotten more excited as far as like an on-screen cameo in such a long time. Well, obviously Spider-Man No Way Home, it was great. Obviously we know the lead up to that, but I was still happy to see Andrew and Toby. But goddamn, seeing John Krasinski, y'all don't understand. I'm a big John Krasinski fan. This dates back to me being my favorite sitcom of all time is The Office. So seeing Jim, who was supposed to play, Captain America, he auditioned and didn't get the role, obviously, and I think he said so, and it was definitely true. Chris Evans definitely fit the role, but he now gets to be in the MCU as Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. But man, I am so excited for this. But like I said, this doesn't last too long. They're trying to decide what to do with this Doctor Strange, because he's the biggest threat to the multiverse. We get the whole backstory of what that Strange did. He did not sacrifice himself. Oh, and by the way, excuse me, pardon me out there. How can I forget Charles Xavier? Oh, that's because they gave him in the first trailer. But Charles Xavier, which by the way, as he walks up to the screen. So I guess they're pretty much saying that's the 97, Professor X from those cartoons, right? So are there other cartoon characters somewhere in the multiverse, and can we get more X-Men sooner rather than later? Because the X-Men didn't get introduced in this film. She didn't say no more mutants or more mutants, bring the mutants back. We didn't get all that. That was a rumor for a while, but Charles Xavier was great. But neither here nor there. We go back. We see that this Illuminati, they were able to come to some type of situation where Doctor Strange got the Darkhold. It corrupted him, and they're sitting there on Titan. The world's been in it. The task has been dead. They killed the Thanos, bodied him, and he's like, "All right, take me away." And he's like, we thank you, our friend, or whatever. We appreciate your efforts. And then Black Bolt. If y'all don't know who Black Bolt is, check him out. As you see in the scene, the man can destroy cities with his voice, with just a whisper. And I can't remember exactly what he said. I think he says, "Bye, my friend," or "I'm sorry," or something of that nature. Where it was, it wasn't like hateful. It was like, I respected you. You made a tough decision, but we got to put you down. And he says it, and it just demolish him right then and there. So now at this point, I'm just geeking out, just thinking of the scene. It was so awesome. I can't wait to rewatch this film. We're at the point now where Wanda has possessed Wanda in that multiverse. She's taking over. She's killing the Ultron bots, got blood or oil all over her face. She's about to break in. They're like, okay, we're going to go ahead. Which, by the way, Illuminati, you're kind of stupid. You should have listened to Doctor Strange. By the way, Professor X, you couldn't just read his mind and see that he's truthful. You should just listen to what he's saying. They don't, because they're about to get killed. They're like, all right, we're about to handle this. Okay, let's talk about this scene. We see Mr. Fantastic. Again, Jim, I'm calling him Jim. John Krasinski was so great. "Wanda, you don't need to do this. Do you have kids? Are your kids?" Well, like, "No, I have a wife at home." "Well, they're going to need her, because I'm pretty much going to kill you." What a badass line as she makes him in spaghetti. Then we see, before that, Black Bolt here. He can just destroy you with a whisper, so you need to go ahead and what his mouth? What mouth? Matrix moment, and then boom, head explodes because he opened his mouth. Mr. Fantastic gets turned into spaghetti. Wow. And then we got Monica and we got, Captain Britain are like, all right, let's go. We're mad now. And we see them going back and forth. I can do this all day. Takes the Captain America shield, throws it at Wanda. She catches it, throws it back at her. She doesn't catch it because it splits her in half and we actually see the blood on the shield. Whew. So I will say the weakest death in this moment is Monica Rambeau. They're fighting, which everyone thought it was Supreme Iron Man. Tom Cruise didn't make a cameo. I know there was a lot of rumors out there that they cut a lot of scenes. Maybe he was in the film, but I don't know. She's, Captain Marvel loses. She dies because a statue falls on her. I thought that was kind of weak. But then we get to Charles Xavier. He keeps dying, man. He keeps dying in the most brutal ways. He now has infused himself. Wanda Maximoff. He gets into her head. They do the zoom in shot, to zoom in into the eye. He goes into her head, very Legion-like. I love it. He goes up to Wanda, who's trapped. Our Wanda's trapped in her mind because she's been corrupted by the Darkhold, by the Scarlet Witch. We see the clouds, the red clouds come up. And jump scare, we see come in and cracks his neck in reality. Finish him. God damn, that was brutal, Wanda. At this point, they're now running from Wanda. Christine lets him out, or say Mordo, they fight. And again, I talked about that earlier. We'll see if we'll get more of him in the future. But Doctor Strange wins. He finds him in the hallway. She releases his handcuffs. They go down to the basement. Scary as hell moment. Wanda limping, chasing them like a ghoul, like a goblin, like a demon, like a witch, which was fantastic. The jump scare when she comes in was great. He stops her by putting the river on her. They go and she tells him about the Book of Ashanti. He tries to open it up. He doesn't, but then she's like, oh, the watch. They open the watch. They go into the Book of Ashanti. They have it in their possession. Wanda gets in there. By her shooting Doctor Strange, they unfortunately destroy the Book of Ashanti, which I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like that because it seemed like a scapegoat. Like if you can just get that book and figure out all your problems, seems like an easy way to get things done. So I'm glad that they destroyed the Darkhold in the Book of Ashanti because they seem very powerful, right? So I'm glad that they were taken out. But during this fight, they go to another portal, which Wanda kidnaps America Chavez, and then she throws Doctor Strange and Christine to another multiverse. So let's talk about what's going on with Wanda. She now, at this point, has kicked Wong off the mountain. We're thinking that he's dead. We also learned on the mountain that she is at, this is a throne. This has been prophesized. We know that from WandaVision with Agatha Harkness saying that you're destined to destroy world and take over the world and all that stuff. So at this point, she has America Chavez in her possession. Those ghoul demon-like things, some of the CGI looks like Transformers, like bad CGI. I wasn't a fan of that, but we'll go back to that because I was very curious on why didn't you just take her powers? Like, what was she doing when she had her in her captives? We'll go back to them. Now we see Doctor Strange, Christine, I can't remember what they call it, it's essentially a collision of multiverses. So they're at this point where they're at one because this Doctor Strange got corrupted by the Darkhold. Because he wanted, very similar to What If, he wanted to find happiness. He wanted to have happiness with Christine throughout the multiverse somewhere. So that was, how he was corrupted. So then we get another cool moment. We see Doctor Strange versus this evil Doctor Strange. Oh boy, the note scene was awesome. The dun 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 dun, the notes hitting each other back and forth. They're fighting. Our Doctor Strange wins, which allows that evil Doctor Strange to be thrown out of the window and impaled by the fence, and there's blood. There was blood again, and the third eye scares Christine. We see that she is doubting Doctor Strange because he's wanting to use the Darkhold. He's like, what is it with you, Doctor Strange? And he's like, I need to do this to protect her, which kind of goes back to what I like about this Doctor Strange. He's learned from his mistakes. You got to save one person if you want to save the world. So I love that narrative, and she can see that too, that he's like no other Doctor Strange, which makes him R616, the greatest Doctor Strange. So at this point, he is like, okay, I'm going to dreamwalk. I'm going to dreamwalk. Like, well, didn't you say you have to have another Doctor Strange in the multiverse to be able to dreamwalk? They don't have to be alive, which we saw that Defender Strange was buried on the rooftop, and now we got the Zombie Strange, which was so cool. The body movement, the way that Benedict Cumberbatch was talking was so cool. But now he's trespassing against the Darkhold. We get the demons, Doctor Strange, you are trespassing in the Darkhold, and all that stuff. And I love my Sam Raimi callback when we see Christine, when I don't know what the device was. She's like, go back to hell. That is a classic Sam Raimi line, which when they do that, and she's like, Doctor Strange, use them as spirits, which he ultimately does. He uses them as the souls, as a cape. At this point, Wong isn't dead. He's fighting those monsters. They're fighting together. Wanda is fighting Doctor Strange, zombie Doctor Strange. They got the best of her. They're like, okay, she's escaping. They're holding her down. We see America Chavez, who, again, I praise that young girl's acting, and I love this moment. She was like, I understand now. You can take my powers. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to, empower you. I'm going to have you use your powers, use your anger, channel it, which she ultimately does. So we see Wanda breaks out. She stops Strange, as we see his body deteriorating. She and Wanda, I should say America Chavez and Wanda are fighting. She punches her and she's like, nope, you're not going to win this. But then she punches her into a multiverse in which we see Wanda. She goes back. I feel so bad for that Wanda that kept getting possessed. She's like, God damn it, would you just leave us alone? Mom. And she's like, please don't hurt us. And we see our Wanda, I would never hurt you. And then she realizes, because her whole thing in the film was, I'm a mother. I'm fighting for my kids. This is all I want. But ultimately, she's the monster. She didn't want to realize that until this point when she saw those kids being fearful. Good move on America Chavez and also Doctor Strange coming up with that idea, working as a team, which their chemistry was great in this film. Wanda realizes that, and we see that version of Wanda saying they'll be taken care of. I'm going to love them, which she snaps out, realizes, I have to end this. I open the book. I have to close it. So she ultimately, destroys the mountain, which means she destroys the remaining of the dark hole. I'm sure there'll be some dark hole out there somewhere, even though Doctor Strange does say that she destroyed all the dark holes in every single multiverse, which again just speaks to her power skill. But again, we are under the assumption that Wanda's dead, but I don't know if you all noticed, there was like a quick beam of red. So she's okay. Wanda is not dead. She's going to be back. I don't know where she's at. Maybe she's where Vision's at, who couldn't appear in this goddamn movie. But she's not dead. We're going to get more of her, and I'm really excited to see what they do with her. Again, the whole mutant angle, what's going to happen there? Is our Doctor Strange going to come up with his own Illuminati to come up with what we're going to do with her moving forward? Only time will tell. We wrap up the film where we see, Wong is now training America Chavez, which I'm like, oh, is Ned there? Because Ned, he's a master of arts, right? is Ned getting his training? But no, she's in this world now. I hope that we get to see her look for her mothers in the future and obviously learn more powers. I mean, she's going to be a powerful son of a you-know-what. If she can transfer to different multiverses and then also have magic, she ain't gonna be no one to play with, which I'm hoping that we get her in the Young Avengers. But we end the film with Doctor Strange. Oh, I'm happy. That's the whole thing. Can you be happy? He's now happy, but he's now corrupted. We see him walking, which it looked like that was like a reshot. That looked like they shot that last week. Like the color palette just looked different. Benedict Cumberbatch looked different, but he's walking down the street and we see the third eye pops up on his head, which I thought was kind of cool. Kind of shows that corruption's still there, that Darkhold has a hold on him, which only means I don't know what in the future. But let's get into post-credit scene number 1, which almost looked identical to the end of the movie. Like we see him walking again in the streets. It's like, did y'all just shoot that in the same scene? Why didn't you just make that in the movie? But we see him walking down the street. And then comes a character. I have no idea who this character is, but as you all can see on the screen now, this is the character, Clea, who has a well history in the comic books tied to Doctor Strange. I believe she has sorcerer powers. She's, very threatening. She can be good. She can be bad. She's played by Charlize Theron, which we've all been wondering, like, why hasn't DC or Marvel casted this incredible, one of the best action female stars in working today in Hollywood? Well, she's now in the MCU as Clea, as she splits open the dimension. She's like, you caused the disruption in the multiverse. Do you want to help me or are you scared? And we see him like, oh, I'm not scared. What you talking about? Let's do this. And it looked like they were going into the dark dimension. I don't know if they're going to fight Dormammu or Nightmare. We'll see. But let me know if you all are excited for Clea and her future in the MCU and her ties to Doctor Strange. I believe she's a romantic interest of Doctor Strange in the comics. So, hey, let's see what the future holds and what they can do next with Doctor Strange. But we get our second post-credit scene, which was a funny one. It's Bruce Campbell, who's done beating himself. I thought for a half a second, Deadpool was going to pop up and be like, hey, man, are you okay? Let me try some of those meatballs. Stop being something crazy. But no, we didn't get that. I remember, and this is something I saw on the internet a long time ago, when people were speculating that Deadpool was going to be in the film. I think it said that they were Deadpool and Vanessa and his crew went to the Illuminati headquarters. They saw all the dead bodies, and then it said that he saw Mr. Fantastic. It's like, hey, he looks like Jim from The Office. And obviously that didn't come to be true, but I thought that would have been funny. When I read that, I was like, I read this like months ago, by the way. And I'm like, oh, hope I didn't just spoil myself. But if that happens, that would be cool. But I did have a fun time with that post-credit scene. So, hey, I gotta get some water because that was 30 plus minutes of just nonstop talking. But I really, again, if you want to get my more concise, thought out thoughts of the film, you can check out my non-spoiler review. But I just figured I needed to let it all out in regards to how I felt about certain scenes, what really worked, what didn't work for me, the reveals that we got in the film, questions that I had, and of course talking about that ending. So I hope you all enjoyed this video 30 plus minutes later. If you stuck around to this point, thank you so much for the support. Make sure if you haven't to like, share, comment your thoughts in the comments. Of course, subscribe to the channel. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the family. Check out my non-spoiler review. I'm hopefully going to be doing a spoiler discussion this weekend, so keep an eye out for that video. Thanks again for the support, and we'll see you in the next video.